To make this Sunburst granny square, you are going to need your 4 colors of yarn, a darning needle for when you're finished, and a crochet hook. You can use whatever crochet hook is recommended for your yarn. For this pattern, I'm using a 5mm. We start making our Sunburst granny square by making a slip knot. I don't leave too much of a tail, just a couple inches. We're going to be going around it and then cutting it off for the first couple rounds, so no need to waste yarn here for a change. So make a slip knot and put it on your hook. Now chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to be going into the first chain stitch and slip stitching to join. Now I keep my finger and thumb touching in the center there, so I know where the center is later on, and I keep holding it like that. I hold my tail down along my work and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to be making 15 double crochets into the center, so I'm going to go in where my finger is, still holding it open. So make 15 double crochets into the center. Now that we've made one, we can see where our center is, so we can let it go. And you're going to want to work over your tail, so when we work our way around, we can just cut it off at the end of this round. And make your double crochets close together, because obviously 15 is a lot to get into this chain 3 space. But you end up with a center of your flower that is smaller, and I think it looks better, so it's worth it. So make 15 double crochets into the center, and I do about 10, 1, 2, 3, and then I push my stitches back and make my last 5. So just work your way around, 15 double crochets into the center, going over your tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So now I'm going to push my stitches back as best I can, just to make a little space to make my last 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just before we continue, let's count again to make sure. Our chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet. So we're going to end up with 16 altogether, but we're going to count our double crochets. We're going to count 15 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 with the chain 3. So now just push your hook into the top of your chain 3. I go over 2 strands, but it's up to you. And slip stitch to join, and chain 1 to secure. Now we can cut our yarn. Again, we don't have to cut very much. We're going to be working our way around it, so I just cut a couple inches and pull your hook up with your tail coming through and pull it down to secure. So now flip it over, and you can cut your tail also, because we worked around it in this center, so that tail is secure. Just cut it off, and that's finished. So that is round 1. I joined my new color by making a slip knot. Again, we're going to be going over our tail, so it's not, you don't need to leave a long tail. Just a couple inches, and put your slip knot onto your hook. You can start anywhere. We're going to be going into the stitches, so under the 2 V's. But what I do is I start the second one before my join, so that I know I get all my work done here, and then I can be mindless and work my way around. So I've put my slip knot onto my hook. I've put my hook into the second stitch before the join, underneath both of the V's, or both loops of the V. And now I'm going to slip stitch to join. So I grab my yarn and pull it through the stitch and the loop on my hook. So now it is joined. Now to start our puff stitches, we pull up the loop about 1 centimeter. Is that 1 centimeter? It's about 1 centimeter, or a finger width, something like that. You'll get your own hang of it, how big you do your puff stitches, but I do mine about like that. So this is how you're going to start. Now you're going to wrap your yarn around your hook and go into the same stitch. I'm going over my tails, so I'm holding my tails down. I'm grabbing my yarn and bringing it back and pulling my hook the same distance as I did for the first loop. Okay, so that is 1 for our puff stitch. Now wrap our yarn and go through, grab our yarn and bring it back and pull up. In my head I pull up to 12 o'clock, so 12 o'clock. And one more time. We're going to do it a total of 4 times. Pull it up, 12 o'clock. And you're going to end up with 9 loops on your hook. Right now we have 7, so we know we're not done. We want to make real puffy puff stitches. So the last time, into the same stitch, grab your yarn, bring it back, pull it up, 12 o'clock, give it a wiggle, wrap your yarn, put your hook down, and pull it through, giving it a little wiggle side to side if you have to get it through all 9 loops. Like that, and then chain 1 to secure. So that is our first very puffy puff stitch. So our next one is here. We're going to go through this, do the same thing, going through the stitch. So wrap your yarn, put it underneath both loops of the V, going over your tail, grab your yarn and bring it back, 12 o'clock. So that's 1. Wrap your yarn, put it into the same stitch, grab your yarn, bring it back, 12 o'clock. That's 2. Wrap your yarn, put it in, grab your yarn, bring it back, pull your hook, 12 o'clock. That's 3. Last one, wrap your yarn, put it into the same stitch. It's getting a bit tight now. Grab your yarn, bring it back, pull your hook up, 12 o'clock. Wrap your yarn around your hook, put your hook down, and wiggle it through all 9 loops on your hook. Chain 1 to secure. So that's 2 puff stitches. So now it's easy peasy. We go into all of our stitches around. We'll make 16 of these. We can do one more together. Wrap your yarn, put it into the stitch, grab your yarn, bring it back, pull it up. Wrap your yarn, put it into the stitch, grab your yarn, bring it back, pull it up. Wrap your yarn, put it in, grab your yarn, bring it back, pull it up. And the last one, wrap your yarn, put it in, grab your yarn, bring it back, pull it up. So we go into each stitch 4 times and pull it through all 9 loops on your hook, chain 1 to secure. So now work your way around, making 1 puff stitch into each stitch of your center. So wrap your yarn, go into the stitch, grab your yarn, bring it back, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wrap your yarn, take off all 9 loops of your hook, chain 1 to secure. When you're starting to make your puff stitches, you'll find it can be a bit tricky. I think I made 4 of these granny squares before it got easy for me. Or not easy, but I guess consistent. So see how much I pull up in the beginning? That's important. That kind of makes all your puff stitches the same size, all your loops of your puff stitch. So you want to be doing that consistently and make sure you pull each one up. So I give my hook a good tug up to 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock like that, and then it's easier to go through. You'll probably find your own way of doing it, but that's my little reminder for my head. So see, we're going over our tails. You can give them a tug to make sure they're not looped up inside there, and then just keep going around them. We're going over them, not around them, until you can just snip them off. So keep working your way around. When we get to here, I'll show you how to join. So just pause the video, make all your 16 puff stitches, 1 into each stitch, and I'll meet you back for the join. So here we are. We worked all the way around. We have 16 puff stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now you're going to join the chain 1 stitch at the top of your cluster. So not into the big one on the side, but this little guy at the top where we joined where we've closed our puff stitch. So slip stitch into that little stitch and chain 1 and then cut your yarn. Pull your hook to bring your yarn through the loop and pull down to secure. So now it'll be a bit wobbly because we obviously crochet towards ourselves like a little dish, so we can pull it back to make it a bit flat. And we are finished round 2. To join our next color, we're going to do it the same way. We're going to make a slip knot. Oops. And put it on our hook. And now we're going to be working in the spaces between the puff stitches. So just in the spaces in between. So that's easier. So I start in the second space before our join. Again, just so I can go over my tail and make sure I get my work done in the beginning, in case I start daydreaming as I work my way along. So I've put my slip knot on my hook. I put it into the space of my previous round, and I am going to slip stitch to join. So just bring your yarn back through and back through. Chain 2, 1 and 2 to get your height, and you're going to be making 3 more double crochets into the same space but not finishing them. So we're going to be making a cluster. So wrap your yarn, put it through the same space, going over your tail, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2 loops on your hook, just leave them there. Wrap your yarn, put it into the same space, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2. Now you have 3 loops on your hook, just leave it there, and 1 more. See, we have 1, 2, and 3 double crochets started. We need 4 double crochets for each cluster. Wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, and now you have 4 loops on your hook. Wrap your yarn and take off all 4. Chain 2 to get to your next space. So now we've gone over this tail. We can't really, you can go over it more, but you can see it, so I don't like that. I'm going to drop this one, and now this yellow guy I'm going to bring forward. So I'm going to go over him a little bit, going this way. That's just me being fussy. You don't have to do that if it's confusing to you, but that's how I do it, so I will teach you the same way that I do it myself. So go into this space in between and make 4 double crochets without finishing. So each one you just take off 2. So that was 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we have 5 loops on the hook. We have 1 loop for each of our double crochets and the loop from the previous cluster. So this is how many loops you're going to have working your way around. You're going to have 5. Wrap your yarn, turn your hook down, and take off all 5 loops on your hook and chain 2 to get to your next space. So that is your first real cluster, because this cluster had a chain 2. So that was slightly different. This one, they'll all be like this. So now drop all your tails. You can even put them behind. These ones will sew in with a needle just a little bit. So make your clusters into each of these spaces in between the puff stitches. So wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, leave it on the hook. Wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, leave everything on the hook. So that was 2 we did. This is our third. That's 3. This is our last one. This is our 4th. So take off 2, 5 loops on the hook, wrap your yarn, and take off all 5. Chain 2 to get to your next space. Wrap your yarn, put it through the space, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2. Leave everything on the hook. Wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, leave everything on the hook. Wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, leave everything on the hook, and you can always count your double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. We need 4, so one more time. Wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, 5 loops on your hook and 4 double crochets started into that space. Wrap your yarn, take off all 5 loops, chain 2 to get to your next space. So continue like this, working all your way around, and I will meet you when you get to here so we can join. We've made our way around. So chain 2, and you're going to go into this chain 1 at the top of your cluster to join. The same small little stitch. It doesn't totally matter if you join to a stitch, you just take a look at it. If it looks funny to you, undo it and slip stitch where you'd like it to be. And then chain 1 to secure. And pull your yarn through, and there you have it. So see that if we join to the top, that small stitch, it makes it look even. You can't really tell where you joined if you move it around. So that is round 3 complete. Now we will do round 4, which changes this into a square. So take your next color yarn. I'm going to be using white. Make a slip knot. Leave a tail long enough to weave in with a needle, so a few inches, and put it on your hook. Now again, I'm going to go in before my yarn so I can go over it. So I'm going to go in the second one before, and I'm going to slip stitch to join my color. You can join your color however you're comfortable with. Now for this one, I'm going to be starting in my corner. So I'm going to be doing half of a corner here. So I'm going to chain 4 because corners are trebles. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then going over this tail, I'm going to make 2 more treble crochets into the same space. So that is going to be the last half of my corner. Oh, ay, ay, ay. So I'm going to be making 2 trebles into the same corner space. So wrap your yarn twice, put it into the space, going over your tail. Grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, wrap your yarn, take off 2, wrap your yarn, and take off 2. Wrap your yarn twice, put it into the space, wrap your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off 2, wrap your yarn, take off 2, and wrap your yarn, take off 2. So that counts as 3 trebles, which is going to be the last corner shell of this space. So now we kind of drop our tail. We're going to weave it in with a needle. If we go over it, you'll see your yarn on this little spot here. It might bother you, it might not. For me, it bugs me, so I'm not going to do that. But this little tail, I'm going to bring forward, and I'm going to go over it as I work into my next stitch. So my next stitch here, I'm going to make 3 double crochets into this space. So, and I see how I've caught that tail going this way. So when I weave it in with my needle, it's a bit, I've already gone over it a little bit. So 1, 2, and 3 double crochets into that shell. Into this next space, I'm going to be making half doubles. So wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, and take off all 3. So we'll be making 3 of those. So wrap your yarn, put it through, grab your yarn, bring it back, wrap your yarn, take off all 3. So our last half double crochet into the same space. And now this space we're going to go back to making doubles. So see how we're making it tall, shorter, shortest. Now we're going to do tall and taller. So this is going to be 3 double crochets into this space. 1, 2, and 3. And into this space we're going to be making a corner. So we're going to be making 3 treble crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Push your stitches back, chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 more triple crochets into the same corner space. So that's 1, this is 2, and our last one is going to be 3. So that is our corner space. See how we've got one side started and our corner, so now we're going to be working back along this side. So double crochet into the next space, make it a little bit shorter. 3 double crochets, and the only chaining we're doing is in the corner, so there's no chaining in between our shells along each side, only the chain 2 in the corner space. So I've done my 3 double crochets. Now I'm going to be doing my half doubles, so 3 half doubles into this space, 2 and 3, and then doubles again here, so 3 double crochets into this space, 2, 3, and now here we're going to make a corner. So that's 3 treble crochets, a chain 2, and 3 treble crochets, or triple crochet, whatever you call it. So this is our third. Push your stitches back, chain 2, 1 and 2, make 3 treble crochets into this space to finish your corner. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space we're doing our doubles. So 3 double crochet. Into the next space we're doing half doubles. So that's taking off all 3. 1, 2, this is our third. Next space we're doing double crochets and no chaining in between the shells. We're just going straight from shell to shell, and then this is going to be a corner. So wrap your yarn twice. It's 3 treble crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Push your stitches back, chain 2, wrap your yarn twice, and go into the same space, making 3 triple crochets. Like that. So now we're almost finished, and you can see that we've got quite a little square going on. Next space, double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then half doubles, taking off all 3. 1, 2, 3. Then doubles. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to make our last shell in this corner. So that is 3 triple crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then you're just going to do your regular chain 2, 1 and 2. You're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 4 like that, and chain 1 to secure your tail. Cut your tail, leaving enough to weave in with a needle. Pull your hook to bring your yarn through and secure it down a little bit. And you can see that is our granny square. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have made any of our patterns, please find us on Instagram. You can tag us with @thimblesofhope, and we'd love to see what you're working on. So thanks for watching. Stay hooked.